Welcome to Books in the Freezer, a podcast dedicated to the deliciously disturbing world of horror fiction. I'm your host, Stephanie, and today I am joined by author Jenny Kiefer to talk about her latest novel, Crafting for Sinners and Locked Room Horror Stories. So, Jenny, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I am excited to have you here. Would you mind telling our listeners a little bit about Crafting for Sinners?
Yes. Crafting for Sinners is about a bisexual woman who is trapped in a craft store that's owned by a religious cult, and she has to fight back using what she can find on the shelves. There's a lot of religious trauma and cult things and some twists and turns.
Definitely. And what I liked about this was how creative it was. Ruth is, as you said, trapped in this big craft store, and she is just making weapons with whatever she can find. And it was so fun to see what she puts together, and gruesome too. I think
Mhm.
I was caught off guard by like the first violent interaction. I think how much detail that went into. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I was like kind of I'm probably still going to combat with this book is that the setting is kind of silly, but it's really not. I mean, I think there are like humorous moments, but I think I tend to I think there's humorous moments in Wretched Valley too. But it's definitely not a horror comedy.
Yeah, well, the crafting angle was very interesting, and I know you're a real life crafter.
Hmm.
So, what kind of crafts do you dabble in? Because I know if people don't know, at StokerCon when you go, you
Hmm.
make stuff for people that go. Like you made me a Fear Street pin.
Hmm. Yeah, I try to make people who go to like if you go to StokerCon and you're an author or like a book person, I try to make everyone a little book pen of like their book or a book that they like. But of course, I always like miss people because people plan to go last minute, or I just somehow don't know that they're going to be there. Um, but I do a little bit of everything. I'm like, this is my office slash craft room. I'm like, even just on the desk, I have like Linocut stuff. I have a paint. What is this called? Like a palette paint, plastic paint knife. I have wooden beads. I have a jewelry pliers. I have random like white masks. I just got this thing that's like supposedly a refillable spray can for paint, or you can put other stuff in it. So I do pretty much a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. So it's safe to say you know your way around a craft store.
Yeah.
I have heard this from people who knit, the violence of it, like the constant stabbing and
Hmm.
how underutilized that is in horror.
It's definitely a little exaggerated in the book. With there is like a knitting needle kill, and that one's like a little exaggerated. With like the needles that she has are like specifically marketed as being like extra sharp. I think like I mean I have a knitting needle like so real knitting needles are not like they're kind of dull. You could probably like stab someone, but you would need like a lot of force
Mhm.
to really break skin because they're actually not that sharp at the tip. This one might be. This one's a little smaller, but
Yeah.
yeah, still, it's like you're gonna have to put a lot of pressure to like actually stab someone with a knitting needle.
Yeah. We are talking about crafting for centers today, along with locked room horror, because she is trapped inside this craft store. But I mean, Ruth is also trapped in her small town.
Hmm.
She's, a blue dot in a red city, but she's also trapped by like the cycle of poverty, just trying to
Yeah.
like scrape enough together
Hmm.
to get by, let alone save enough to leave.
Yeah. I mean, I think there. So I think both of my novels have been trapped room, and like the next one I'm working on is also kind of like a trapped room or like a single setting. So maybe that's what I write. I haven't thought of an idea yet that involves a ton of different settings. So I think it's just sort of like something I'm comfortable with. But I also think, especially like in Wretched Valley, they go into the space, but they're kind of like supernaturally trapped. And in Crafting for Sinners, when she does go into the craft store, she's not supernaturally trapped. It's just like physical barriers trapping her in there. But I think like a greater question a lot of times when you have stories like this, especially in Ruth's situation where she's living in this small town where, you know, most of her neighbors and community members are members of this church that's really bigoted and holds really close-minded views. And there's like all of this violence happening around them that to queer people. And so it does kind of feel like a situation. And I feel like I see this a lot currently in like the current political environment where it's kind of like a lot of people are just like, well, why don't you just leave? And
Yes.
it's not that simple. Or like when, oh my God, when I keep seeing people in like, I assume blue states being like, we should just cut off all the red states and we should just have all the, you know, like make two different countries with blue states and red states. I'm like, well, you know, just because a state like voted or, you know, like, you know, the electoral points went to one candidate doesn't mean every single person in that state agrees with that. And yeah, it's like people, and so I do think that's just like a real life situation that people find themselves in. It's just like they're trapped by where they are by poverty. And I think Ruth is also trapped a little bit by her anxiety around her relationship. So I think the emotional arc in the book is kind of her, you know, not only going through all this like terrible fighting with cult members and trying to survive that, but also sort of reconciling with that anxiety of her relationship. And one of her big fears is like, well, if we moved out of Kill Devil, where the story is set, and we moved to like a more progressive area, I guess her fear is like, well, what if her girlfriend like meets someone else?
Yeah.
Sort of like, what if she's only with me because I'm, you know, the only available person to be with.
Definitely. I felt like the book handled that all very well because I am in a purple state, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel your frustration and that things are more nuanced that they seem. Like in
Yeah.
Kentucky, like, yeah, you vote red, but you have Andy Bashir. Like,
Yeah.
it's complicated and a lot of places are gerrymandered and there's things
Mm-hmm.
outside of your control where not everyone is equally represented.
Yeah. And one problem in I live in Louisville, Kentucky, which is like the, you know, maybe besides Lexington is like one of the only counties that consistently votes blue in like larger elections, like president and stuff. But even then, it's like we have a problem in this county with and maybe it's the state wide, but I know like in my county, like the voting hours are really restrictive. It's
Oh,
like the polls, I think it's like something crazy, like maybe 6 to 6. So it's like 12 hours, but like six is like, but if people have kids, like they can't go in the morning, and then like six is like an hour maybe. Like if they have a typical corporate job and they have kids, it's like when can they go vote? And there's like early voting and stuff, which helps, but I don't know. It's just like our polling hours are really restrictive. And I think this last election there was an issue where like the machines like broke or like went offline or something, and like the county clerk still wouldn't extend hours. And my personal polling place is like 3 miles away and not walkable at all, even if you wanted to walk 3 miles, because you have to cross like this overpass over a highway. And it's been
wow.
like that for like years, like maybe like 5 or 6 years. And I like have contacted the county clerk's office, and they just sort of throw up their hands, and it's like, well, there's no other place to put you, and it's just very frustrating.
That is really frustrating. I wanted to speak to your other point that, going through this experience, Ruth also works through her anxiety
Mm-hmm.
about, where she stands in the relationship and like what moving could mean. I
Mm-hmm.
also love in locked room stories that I feel like we are putting our characters through something. Like they are dealing with the like real time, real issue of
Mm-hmm.
being physically trapped in this space, but you also get them like mentally working through some trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a lot all at once for Ruth. But yeah, she does kind of like, and I think she kind of has to work through that anxiety. And some people, and like, I guess partly, I mean, it is a novel, it's fiction, but it is also something where it's like she kind of has to work through that in order, that anxiety about her relationship, which maybe some people might be like, you have bigger things to worry about, like you have people hunting you. But I think in the context of the story, she kind of has to work through that in order to like give herself a reason to fight, because she really only has like Abigail is really like the only person in the world that she has left that cares about her and that she cares about. So it's like if she were to let that anxiety overtake her, she I think there are parts in the book where she thinks about giving up the fight, because it's like, but she ends up and so she does have to like sort of work through that anxiety in order to have the motivation to fight back.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was really well balanced, and we didn't even mention she's diabetic
Yeah.
on top of all that.
Yeah. So she's battling her anxiety, the cult members, and her body all at the same time.
It's a lot for her, but
Yeah.
well, should we talk about some locked room horror movies?
Sure.
I had Escape Room on here, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. It's like,
Hmm.
have you ever seen it? It's like
I have seen it. I think
PG-13.
there's like
It's
two of
fun.
them, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I just think they're a lot of fun, and my son is kind of finally at that age where he, like,
Hmm.
wants to watch horror movies with me, and this is, like, the level of stuff he can
Hmm.
handle, but I feel like it's very creative. In the
Yeah.
first one, all these people get invitations to, like, test out this escape room, and, like, one
Hmm.
of them is, like, an escape room enthusiast, and our main girl is, like, a math whiz, and the escape rooms obviously become deadly, and they
Hmm.
each get picked off one by one as they like make their way through the different ones. But I like
Yeah.
that.
I don't know if it was the first one or the second one, but the one scene I really remember is when um they're like in what looks like an outdoor scene, and there's like acid rain, and they have to like,
Oh, yeah. That's the second one, Tournament of Champions, and they have like an umbrella and it's like going through the umbrella.
yeah.
I also had Green Room on here
I love
because
that one.
I just feel like it's a punk band who
Hmm.
is playing a gig at this white supremacist Nazi club,
Hmm.
and they go in the green room and they see something they weren't supposed to see, and so now they're not letting the band leave, and they
Yeah.
have to like fight to the death.
Yeah, I think that movie is like really well done, and it's very, there's so much tension. And I typically like prefer movies that have like a little bit of a supernatural sort of twist
Yeah,
to them, or like angle to them, and that one really doesn't have that, but it was just very well done, very well acted.
it is. I mean, the I agree. It's very well acted. It's very contained. The stakes are high.
Mhm.
Like everyone mentions, seeing Patrick Stewart as a Nazi.
Yeah.
It's like, unfortunately, he's very good at it.
And Anton Yelchin is in it.
Yeah, he is. R.I.P. I also had Cube on here.
I haven't seen Cube.
It's a Canadian movie from the aughts, but it's like several people wake up in different parts of this like cube structure, and there's like one way to get in and out of the different rooms to like navigate, and like
Mhm.
half of them are booby trapped in some way, so they have to like figure out ways to test it, and
Mhm.
they start turning on each other as they're like, wait, why are we in here? What's the last thing you remember? Like,
Yeah.
it's just one of those like extreme locked room, one location, small cast
Yeah.
stories.
I have Ready or Not, which is, I think it's from 2019.
That
It's
sounds
about this
right.
woman who she gets married, and then the family she's marrying into is like this rich family, and they've made all their money from board games. And so their ritual is like you have to draw a card and play a game, and she picks, it's not Ready or Not, hide and seek. She picks hide and seek. And then that's actually like the bad card. And so then like she has to hide while they hunt her. And if they don't kill her and perform this ritual, like they believe that like they're gonna be taken to hell. And it's just like really well done, and it was really and so she that's kind of, it's like she's trapped in the house with them. And I thought that it was really well done. There's a lot of humor. I thought that they did a really good job of like revealing information to the audience without it feeling like I am the screenwriter giving you information that you need to know. And we just have like a really scrappy sort of final girl in that
Uh,
one.
she's
Um,
the best in it.
yeah, Samara
Um,
Weaving is so good. She was also in another trapped um, horror movie called Mayhem that was really fun.
oh, yes, I love that
That
movie.
was just like really kind of campy, fun gore. It's like there's a virus that makes people really angry and act on their like really violent impulses, and it like somehow gets. I guess maybe somebody was infected, but it gets into this office building, and they have to like shut down the whole like quarantine the whole building, and then of course everybody gets infected, and it's just a lot of crazy violence and little
Yeah,
very over the top.
yeah, it's like her and Stephen Yeun, and I think she was there, like, for a loan, and her, like,
Yeah.
loan didn't get approved, so then she's like, we are going to get this loan approved."
Yeah. um, I feel like this one is not talked about enough, but I think it was a Shudder produced film called Slacks, Slaxx, and it's a movie that on its surface feels like it's going to be really, really, really stupid and silly, which in some parts it is. It's about like a cursed pair of pants. So there's these. It's like I don't even know what store I want to say. It's like sort of like a really upscale clothing store. I don't really know. I don't buy like upscale clothing, so I don't know what store it was trying to make fun of. But um, it's like one of these stores where it's like the employees all have to wear the current trend like line of clothes, but they have to like buy it themselves. And I'm sure it's like making fun of a specific store, but I just don't know which one. um but like so they're doing like a reset for like this new pair of jeans that's supposed to like have some weird technology that like conforms to your body and like makes everyone look amazing in these jeans. And so the premise is that like these employees are like and the manager are like doing this overnight reset, and they're locked in the store. Like I don't know, for some reason the door actually locks. I think it's really silly, or like seems like that would be like a hazard or whatever,
Yeah.
and it turns out to be a hazard. But then there's like one of the pair of jeans is like cursed, but I don't want to give it away, but like the reason that it's cursed makes like sort of changes the film into like a little bit more serious than it appears on its surface.
Okay, I've scrolled past it on Shudder, but I feel like I do need to watch it, it seems.
It is really fun, but like I said, there's like a twist that makes you be like, oh, it's a little bit more serious than it seems. I feel like there's so many trapped horror movies. There's like In the Tall Grass, based on that Joe Hill and Stephen King story. There's Hell House LLC, which is one that has a really stupid name, but the at least the first one was really good. I don't really care for the sequels too much, but
No, I don't yeah, I diminishing returns on 2 and 3, although I did like Origins that came out, like, a few years ago.
yeah, I don't.
I guess
I
I
think
liked it better than 2 and 3 at
yeah,
least.
I watched it, but I think for me it was just like the first one had it like gave you enough information to like be to not be confused. But I don't know. I personally don't love when things are like I don't like origin stories for a lot of horror. I'm like I don't want it explained. I just want it to be weird and unknown.
Yeah,
I guess like
practical.
Saw is like the classic
Absolutely.
locked room.
Yeah. I was also thinking, Haunting of Hill House,
Hmm.
both of them, like, they have to stay in this house and survive to get their I mean, it's $1,000,000 in the remake, I think it's, like, $10,000 in the, like, 1960s one.
I haven't seen either of the like film versions. I really like the book, but I don't think there is that. I don't think there's like a reward aspect in the book.
No, sorry, I got that wrong. House on Haunted Hill, not
Okay.
Haunting of Hill House. Haunting of Hill House is Shirley Jackson. I've been talking about Haunting of Hill House with Anna since we've been reading it, so it was top of mind. No, I meant, House on I almost said it again. House on Haunted Hill. They
They're
use
like
the
the
same words.
same
They can't
words, but like twisted around. I don't think I've seen those either, but yeah, I was like, I don't. I mean, I wouldn't put it past somebody to do a haunting on of Hill House remake where it's like you have to, the premise, like you have to stay the night in this room or this house or whatever, and you win money.
Yeah, like a gamified
Mm-hmm.
version. Um, they did The Haunting in 1999. I'm trying to remember if that had like a gamified reason or if there was like a reason everyone was invited or if it was like the book where it was like a paranormal research
Yeah.
study type
Oh,
of thing.
this is controversially my favorite Halloween movie is Halloween Resurrection, like the reality show one, where they're like that one's also like they're locked in the house.
I love that as a premise. I do love the like reality show angle of it. It makes it fun.
Yeah,
Do you want to talk about some books?
sure.
Okay.
There's a lot of trapped room books. I feel like there's more than for some reason like in my brain movies stick better than like books when I'm trying to recall, and I guess it's because like I rewatch movies a lot more than I reread books. But recently I read The Unworthy by Agustina Bazterrica, which was a really, I guess, like interesting premise for like a locked location, because it's like these people are in essentially like a monastery sort of area. So it's not like a room, but it's like a cloister. Um, and there's a lot of like religious horror, religious trauma, and it's basically the premise is that the world outside of this cloister is like poisonous or toxic. Um, but the way I really loved that it was kind of epistolary in a way, like the premise is that you're reading like these scribblings that the main character is like kind of writing and hiding away, and she's not really supposed to be writing. So sometimes things just like end abruptly, and there's like words crossed out. And I get, like I said earlier, where I don't really want things explained. I loved how like kind of vague some aspects of that were, and you don't really know like what's true and what's not, especially since in those situations where it is like writing from a character, it's always sort of inherently unreliable.
Yeah.
Um, I have Horrorstor by Grady Hendrix, which I think is just like classic. I don't want to say corporate, but like retail horror.
Yeah.
Really also love the production of the like physical book, how it looks like a catalog, like a furniture company catalog. Um, And I think that's another one where I think like a lot of people pick it up and they think that it's going to be just like this really humorous, like sort of silly, campy book, and it's really not. I mean,
It's darker than it seems for
yeah,
sure, but it's yeah, the outside and the packaging of the like similar to an IKEA catalog and
hmm
there's like fun recurring bits, because I think
yeah,
it's the company is like Orsk.
yeah,
So it's also like a Swedish company and then there's like
yeah,
um there's also like different furniture that's named different things. So
yeah,
yeah, like all these trappings might make you feel like it's a lighter story than you're
hmm
going into. Because I feel like this is one I have recommended as like, oh, like entry level, like
hmm
baby horror, and the person came back to me and they were like, no.
yeah. It's just like I think it's one of those ones that like a little surprised me a little bit, but I don't know. I think that there's like layers to a lot of things. I also have The Troop by Nick Cutter, which I really loved. I think he is a great writer. I don't. I want to. If I ever like meet him, I wonder if anybody's ever asked him what beef he has with turtles.
When he was on, I almost asked him about like what beef he has with animals in general, just because I feel like every book. But yeah, you're right. There are.
There's a lot of turtles that are harmed in his books.
It was like a childhood pet that like
Bit him or
wronged
something,
wronged him
gave
in
him
some way.
salmonella. Who knows? Um, I really liked that one. He has another and that one was like really I really love reading and writing body horror, and he does it really well. I don't really like watching body horror very much, but I think a lot of times I feel like I guess I'll say like I feel like a lot of times when I watch body horror, like it's not to further the plot, or it's like kind of just like because a lot of times like I'm thinking of Tusk, it's like you made that just to be gross, like it's not really,
Hmm.
I don't know. I want my body horror to have more purpose.
Speaking
He
of
also had, I guess
motivation.
it's like, not, it's kind of a locked room, but not really. He did like a book with, Nick Cutter did a book with Andrew F. Sullivan, um, called The Handyman Method, which was really interesting because it's like a haunted house but new construction. But
Yeah.
I guess like for most of it, the characters aren't really like specifically trapped there. It's
Yeah.
like one character is kind of trapped in his head.
Which still is trapped.
Yeah. And I think we have the same honorable mention.
I had a 2025 release, Exiles by Mason Coile, which I think was the pen name for Andrew Piper, who
Mhm.
unfortunately passed away this year. So this I think is his last work. But this is about a crew on a mission to Mars to establish like the first ever colony. So it is very much like this is a one-way ticket. There's like three people. We're getting there to get things started. And ahead of them, they sent three robots to like get things ready for, the three humans to come and take over. But as they are getting closer to Mars, they notice they are having like communication issues and
Mhm.
like things seem a little fishy. And they get there and find that things are a mess and the robots have like kind of turned on each other and they've like adopted names and personalities and like they
Crazy.
try to interrogate them and like they begin to lie and they're like whoa 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 what is going on and then one of the humans dies and so it is very much like oh no we're stuck with these and like one of them is a killer and we have to figure out like who's lying and for
Oh
what
man.
reason and what's going on this like space colony to Mars.
It's like that video game all the kids were playing, Among Us.
Yeah. There is a killer among us. So this was really fun. I read it in like one sitting and it's just that kind of book. It's a novella length, but yeah, like you'll breeze right through it. I also had Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy, which is also a novella, and this is about a musician who is on his way to visit his grandma who is ill, and he stops in at a gas station that seems empty, and
Hmm.
he, stops in to use the restroom, and then finds himself like locked in the bathroom. And it's just like the amount of things that happen just as he's like stuck in that bathroom, but also like, crafting for sinners, where it's like I'm very much in here and dealing with these like physical things like critters and
Hmm.
like who knows what kind of horrors. I am also very much like processing and like going through trauma and like
Hmm.
coming to terms with things at the same time. Like it's a good vehicle for that. But that one was a ton of fun and another like all of these are actually like these are
Fast paced.
fast-paced reads. And my last pick was How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold, which came out this year, and this is about 7 authors who are invited to a like reading of the will for one
Hmm.
of their writer friends and it very much turns into like the escape room movies where he was like now that you're all they're reading his will
Yeah.
and it's essentially like well now that you're all here each of you have wronged me in a
Oh no.
specific way and you have to like own up what you did and solve the puzzle um for each room and like we'll see who's the last one standing. Kind of just like a high concept, like a horror locked room mystery type of thing. But I had a lot of fun with that. And as an honorable mention, I had We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III because that is a family stuck in a bathroom
Hmm.
during a storm. There's like a tree that falls on their
Yeah, it's like
house
a
and like
tree blocks the door. And I think upon my first reading, I thought this was kind of weird, but then I realized that, like, I think my bathroom door also does the same thing, where it's like usually they open in, but like theirs opens out, so they like have this giant tree blocking. Um, and I guess because it opens out, they can't just like pull the pins out, or it'd be like a lot harder to like just get the door off the hinges.
Yeah, and I think they, like, say that in the book, like,
Yeah,
why didn't it open inward?
yeah.
But this is, like, is it maybe also, like, supernatural stuff they're dealing
Mhm,
with? And there was a movie adaptation that I
mhm.
really liked, and, I think Max posted about this, but for the movie, I think it was Ozzy Osbourne's, like, final film credit,
Yeah,
he has, like, a voice.
yeah, he voiced something that would be a
Yeah,
spoiler
something.
to say.
Yeah. He voices a line, in the movie, but that's another novella that I started reading on my Kindle, like, when I couldn't sleep one night, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm just not sleeping tonight because this
Yeah,
is too good."
that one I read in, I think I read it in 2 days, but it was the same thing where it was like I started reading it at, like, 11 p.m., and I just got to a point where I was like, "I have to go to sleep now."
We have to put hard limits or else we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
So those are my picks. I'll just go through them again. That was Exiles by Mason Coyle, Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy, and How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. One of the traditions we have on this podcast is to ask our guests for a chilling obsession, which is just something you've been enjoying in horror lately. Can be a movie, show, book, podcast, Wikipedia rabbit hole you fell into recently.
That's an interesting one. I feel like I've been listening to a lot of music that's not necessarily, like,
Yeah.
horror related recently, and I've been picking the guitar back up.
Oh yeah?
Um, just for, like, honestly, just, like, I like singing and playing, and, I haven't played the guitar in a while, so I was like, "I'll pick that back up," but it's, like, kind of a way for me to, like, not be on my phone.
I feel that. It's like wanting to take on more like analog hobbies or like using your hands. It's like
Yeah.
concentration.
Um, but in terms of horror, I'm trying to think of, like, if I've really gotten into anything or gone down a rabbit hole. Oh, I guess for my next book, and I guess this is more like true crime than really horror, but my next book is set in a garbage dump and
Hmm.
involves like a cosmic entity that reanimates dead things. So I've been kind of like going, and so like as an aside addition to that, I've been doing some research on like crematoriums that weren't actually cremating the bodies and just like those scandals.
Oh my gosh. Like
Like places that
selling
would,
body parts on the black
well,
market
there was
type
like
deal.
one, I can't remember like the specific place, but there was one where it was just like they just were like putting bodies into storage, like not like cold storage, just like they were just putting bodies to the side. Because I think at one point like the crematory like actually did break, but
Mhm.
like they just kept accepting bodies and not fixing the cremation or like the crematory like thing. And that was like a big scandal. And then there was one local to Louisville, it's like Eastern Cemetery had like a scandal, I think, but I think theirs was like they have a crematorium on site, or it's like not functioning anymore. And I don't remember if the scandal was, because I've like looked at several of these, but I don't remember if the scandal was related to the crematorium or if it was like they were just like like reusing graves, like just doubling up on
Oh.
graves.
In the suburb I grew up in, one of the dads went to prison for selling body parts out of the morgue.
Crazy. Yeah.
That is interesting. I'm sure that's like a not a fun rabbit hole, but like could be.
Yeah. I've been honestly, and like the weirdest thing is like I really love doing research, and I feel like research always gives me more ideas for my books than if I had just tried to make it up myself. But like it's weirdly hard. So like my story is set in like an open air garbage dump, which are not really like things anymore. So it's like really hard, weirdly, to find research about open air garbage dumps because most of what you can find is about landfills, which are very highly regulated, and or they're like very strictly like it'll be, but then it'll still be landfills, but it'll be like research that's strictly about like environmental aspects, and then like, but still landfills. But it's like, I know I want to know like what are weird things that people have thrown away? Like, what's the history of like garbage dumps? And like, for whatever reason, that's really hard to find research on.
Yeah.
The closest I've gotten is that I think it's a university in Arizona did garbage archaeology. So they'll like
Okay.
go to landfills or dumps and like actually excavate old garbage and like do like or and they like look through fresh garbage too, which is like new garbage, I guess. And they'll like just catalog what all the things they find and then do data science on it.
That sounds really fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, the second tradition we have on the podcast is to ask our guests for a final girl song. So if you were the last one standing in a horror movie, what's your song?
I think my like if it was me, it might be the song Destroya by My Chemical Romance. When I originally saw this question, I was thinking like I think Ruth's song would be Sinner by the Last Dinner
Oh,
Party,
yeah.
but I think mine would be Destroya by My Chemical Romance.
Oh, I do love The Last Dinner Party, and they had a new album
They
just come
do.
out. Listening to that. Okay. You know what? I'll add them both to the list.
All right.
Ruth gets a song and gets a song. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for coming on here today and talking to me about crafting for sinners and
Yeah.
locked room horror.
Thanks for having me.
Books in the Freezer is a bi-weekly podcast. We post episodes every other Tuesday. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Books in the Freezer, or send us an email at booksinthefreezer@gmail.com. Show notes for this episode can be found in the podcast description and at booksinthefreezer.com, where you will find a list of all of the books mentioned with links to my bookshop.org bookshop. So you can get yourself a book that's mentioned and support the podcast and an indie bookstore. If you're looking for another way to support the podcast, consider becoming a part of our Patreon community at patreon.com/booksinthefreezer, where there are several different perks like early access to episodes, merch drops, reading challenges, things like that. There's also a chat where you can connect with other Patreon supporters, and there is access to bonus material like the new House at the End of Fear Street series, where we are making our way through R.L. Stine's Fear Street books. It has been a really fun time. You do not want to miss out. That is patreon.com/booksinthefreezer. If you are looking for a free way to show your support for the podcast, consider leaving a review on a site like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or just sharing about it on social media. Every little bit helps, and with indie podcasts like this one, word of mouth is huge. So a big thank you to all of you who have taken the time to do that. I truly appreciate it. I have been your host, Stephanie Gagne. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time on Books in the Freezer.